Hey everybody, this is Mr. Morel, um, and we're gonna continue doing what we've been doing. We're gonna be solving equations, but this time we're gonna be doing it for equations that have more than one variable. Specifically, we're gonna be doing it with equations that have two variables, an x and a y. So this can be a little bit tricky, but if you stick with the techniques and the tricks that I've been teaching you all unit, you're going to be totally fine with just a couple of tricks that I've got to teach you other than that. Okay, so just like with the other videos, if we look here at question 1 and questions 1 and 2, um, rather than having a box of doom set up for you or anything like that, I'm telling you the steps that you need to follow. If you follow these steps in this order, you'll be able to solve these equations for y, no problem. Okay, so the very first thing that we are going to do here, it tells us to subtract 4x from both sides. So we're going to subtract 4x from here. Now, in the past, we're used to writing 4x like that. But if you can remember back to your simplifying expressions and things like that, we cannot subtract 4x from 5. Like, we can't put those things together. They're not like terms. So one huge trick that I have to teach you is when you don't have an x right here in this spot, when you go to subtract 4x, instead of writing the minus 4x below, just write it to the side like that. Okay, so we have 3y equals 5 minus 4x. And then our next step is, and we just took care of this one right here, our next step is that we need to divide both sides by 3, divide by 3 like that. And that will leave us with the final answer that y equals 5 minus 4x over 3. And for today, that's going to be an acceptable answer. In our next homework assignment, I'm going to talk to you about how to make that answer a little prettier, a little more standard, so that anybody solving this equation would be able to get the exact same answer, where right now some people might get answers that look different depending on who solves it. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, let's go over here to question 2. For question 2, our first step is going to be to subtract 6x from both sides. So I'm going to subtract a 6x from there. Again, there's no x next to that 4, so I'm just going to write the minus 6x to the side like that. That's going to leave us with negative 2y equals 4 minus 6x. We took care of that step right there. And for our next step, we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 like that. And y equals 4 minus 6x divided by negative 2. And again, if you decide to take that a step further, if you already know where I'm going with this, I mean, this will simplify to be something much prettier by tomorrow. But for today, I just wanted to focus on this weird idea of, if you can't take an x away from a number, to put it on the side, and to see that some of our answers here are going to look a little funkier than maybe you would like. Okay, let's go ahead and look at level 2. Okay, a little bit weird here on level 2. We're going to just go straight down this left column. Those are the questions that I'm going to answer today. Now, we are going to do this using the box of doom method. I really feel like it makes things a lot easier, at least for me and for several students in the past. Now, in the instructions, it's telling us that we are solving for y. So when I go set up my box of doom, I'm going to draw the box here, and I'm going to write the letter y. Now remember, we're solving for y, which means that if we're going to use the box of doom, there can only be one y that we see. And that's true right there. Okay, so we see that one y, and we can see that y is being multiplied by 3. So to solve this for y, we're going to divide both sides by 3. Now, we are going to, since I'm not teaching this until next month, I'm recording these videos early, I have to decide how much to make you do. Do you know what? For good practice and to make our next assignment even easier, I'm going to take this to the next step. You're seeing right now that y equals 30x minus 6 divided by 3. Now that is an okay answer, but I think that we can make it even nicer. We can make it cleaner. The way that we can do that is by actually performing this division. We could do 3 divided by 30x, and we can also do negative 6 divided by 3. So we're going to go ahead and do those things now. Let me go ahead and erase these things. Let's go ahead and start by doing 30x divided by 3. That would just be 10x. Then we're also going to do negative, remember that's a negative right there, negative 6 divided by 3 is a negative 2. You could write plus or minus 2 is what that says. You could write plus negative 2 if you prefer. Either way, this is the answer that I'm looking for. In fact, I'm going to scroll up and just look at this answer up here just so you can get another example. This one over here is a little uglier. This is why I'm like having second thoughts. But essentially, these are pretty nice. We could do 4 divided by negative 2. So y equals negative 2. And then we'd have negative 6x divided by negative 2, and that would be a positive 3x. Okay, I'll take either answer. It's going to be painful either today during this worksheet, or it's going to be painful during tomorrow's worksheet. And for me, I always like to do the painful stuff earlier on. Alright, let's go ahead and look at question 5. So, question 5, again, we're solving for y, so I'm going to draw a box and label it with a y. We only have one y that I can see, so we're good to go. And y is being added by x. So I need to do the opposite operation of that. I'm going to go ahead and subtract x. Now if I draw minus x right there, that's confusing because there's no x's with that 4, so I'm going to go ahead and write it to the side. And my answer is simply y equals 4 minus x. Okay, things are about to get a little bit more tricky. Those ones were super duper easy. We're solving for y, so that's how I'm going to label this. And, just like we are used to doing with our box of doom, we're going to start closest to the y and work our way out. The first thing happening to y here is it's being multiplied by negative 4, and then subtracted by x. I will now do the opposite operations backwards. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list and work my way up. And I'm going to be doing the opposite operations. So the first step here is I want to add x to both sides. There is no x right here with the 12, so I'm going to write plus x on this side over here. So right now we have negative 4y equals 12 plus x. Our next step is we're going to divide both sides by negative 4. And so some of you may choose to leave your answer as y equals 12 plus x divided by negative 4, this thing that you're seeing right here. Okay, and that's fine, but like I said, I know for sure tomorrow we're going to have to take it a step further, so let's start taking it a step further today. I want to do 12 divided by negative 4 and x divided by negative 4. So the answer that I would also accept would be 12 divided by negative 4 is 3. And then x divided by negative 4, well, that's just going to be x divided by negative 4. I'm just going to write it like a fraction, like that. And we can even get even cleaner, but I don't want to explode your brains yet today. So let's just leave it like that for today. You know, I would accept the answer that you see here, or I would accept this answer here. Alright, let's go ahead and come down here to question 9. Now, question 9, I'm just warning you, it's going to look ugly, but it's going to be okay. Alright? That's all I have to say about that. Okay, first things first, we're going to draw our box. We're solving for y. We only have one y, so we're in pretty good shape, but if you notice, there's a subtraction sign in front of my y, so it's always easier for me, if I ever see subtraction right in front of my variable, I change that to say plus negative, because it really just helps me think through things a little bit more smoothly. Okay, so now let's write what's happening to y. The first thing happening to y is it's being multiplied by negative 3, and after that it's being added by 10x. So the very first step, I'm going to do opposite steps backwards, is to subtract 10x from both sides. There isn't an x right here, so I'm just going to write minus 10x to the side like that. So at this point we have negative 3y equals 56 minus 10x. You still with me? I hope. Let's go ahead and do our next step. Our next step is to divide both sides by -3. And remember, we need to divide everything on this side by -3. Everything goes like that. Okay? And in fact, that's just reminding me, this is how I taught it last year. I think this year I'm going to be teaching this a little bit differently because I liked what a student was doing more than what I'm doing here. Do you see how I'm drawing this big underline? And then in the next step I separate it like I draw these circles? Maybe it'll be easier for you guys if I kind of do those two things in one step. Instead of drawing two different lines, what if we just say, okay, you're going to take every term and divide it by -3 like this? I think that would be a lot easier. In fact, that is what I'm going to do. Get excited in class. When I teach this, I'm going to teach it better for you. So like if we come back up here to this example, let me erase this. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're going to be so happy with me when I do this for you. So what did we have? We had -4y equals 12 plus x. Okay, instead of drawing a big underline, I'm going to say, let's underline each term and divide those by -4, like that. And then at that point, it's just a matter of simplifying it. 12 divided by -4 is going to be -3. And then you could see we still have plus x divided by -4, which doesn't really simplify any more than that. Oh my gosh, that's genius. Okay, I need to go change my answer keys even. Alright, so back down to question 9. Sorry for jumping around, I just got excited. 56 divided by -3 doesn't really simplify. You can check that in your calculator, so we're going to leave it like that for now. And then notice here we have minus, or a -10x. We'll change that to say plus negative. -10x divided by -3. You really need to remember that a negative divided by a negative is going to equal a positive. So I would accept the answer if you wrote plus -10x divided by -3. But for the next worksheet, you're going to need to fix that. It would just be easier to write plus 10x divided by 3, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this right here is the answer that I'm looking for. Okay, let's go ahead and see what the next page has to offer us. Level 3. This is going to be the same thing, only we might have a couple of extra steps going on here. So, for example, in this question right here, I'm going to go ahead and set up my box of doom. I'm still solving for y, so I need a y box like that. I do have a y here, but we have parentheses. We want to take care of parentheses first. So let's go ahead and do the Santa hat. So we have 2 times... Oh, actually, sorry. What I wanted to say is there are 2 different ways to solve this. Let me show you the 2 different ways. The first way is to Santa hat this stuff. So we have 2x plus 2y equals 2. Then we can go to our box of doom and say, okay, well, y is being multiplied by 2 and added by 2x. And then we do our opposite stuff backwards. Subtract 2x from both sides. Well, there isn't an x here, so it's just going to be minus 2x on the side. Oh man, I'll rewrite that. So we have 2y equals 2 minus 2x. And then using that new hootenanny that I just spent forever talking about, we want to divide all of these terms by 2. Divide that by 2, divide that by 2, and divide that by 2. So those are going to cancel out, and we're left with y equals 2 divided by 2 is 1. Negative 2x divided by 2 is just going to be negative 1x. So there's your answer right there. That is one way to solve this. Let me show you another way that we could have solved it. It might kind of go over some of your heads a little bit, so if that's the case, just stick with this one way. But I figure since we're at level 4, I can kind of push you to do some things that look a little bit scary to you. We could do our box of doom. There is only one y there, so we could say, hey look, the first thing happening to y is it's being added by x, and then multiplied by 2. Okay? Where before we were saying, hey, it's being multiplied by 2 and added by 2x, and that was true because we distributed. Let me show you how it plays out if you think about it in this way. I'm going to do the opposite stuff backwards, which means I'm going to divide this by 2. Now, these are not 2 different terms, and what I mean by that is we can't do this and this divided by 2 because of these parentheses right here. these parentheses are kind of locking all of that stuff together. So this is going to be divided by 2 like that, and that's going to be divided by 2. Well, what's going to happen here is that this 2 and this 2 are going to kind of cancel out and leave us just with the x plus y equals 1. And that takes care of that step. And then we go and subtract x from both sides, and we still get that same answer of y equals 1 minus x, or y 1 minus 1x. Okay, so those are just different things that we've got going on there. Let me look. I wanted to give you a hint somewhere. Well, like, for example, on questions 13 and 15, we've got a lot of stuff going on. But before you can do your boxes of doom stuff, you've got 2 y's here that you need to address. And we've talked about those in previous videos. Same thing down here. We've got 2 y's. You've got to get y's only on one side before you can continue any further. Okay? I'm not going to answer those, though, because this is level 3. Alright, let's come down here to this level 16, or question 16. I will do this in 2 different ways so that you can see it. The first way is I'm going to set up the box of doom, and I want to distribute first. Okay, I'm going to distribute both of these things. So that's going to give us 4y plus 12, don't forget, we need to do 4 times 3, equals negative 8x plus negative 32. Or you could write minus 32 if you prefer that. We only have one y, so we could say, hey, y is being multiplied by 4 and added by 12. We do our opposite steps backwards. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So that would give us 4y equals negative 8x. And then, oh my gosh, how much is that? Plus negative 44. And that takes care of that step there. And then we could divide each term by 4, just like this. And I'm going to be writing my answer up here. So that would give us y equals negative 8x divided by 4 is negative 2x. And then negative 44 divided by 4 is going to equal negative 11. Or you could write minus 11. Okay, so that was the answer one way. Let me go back and do this another way, though. Whoops, boop, 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 boop. Okay, so same thing. We only have one y already. Well, in this example, y is being added by 3 and then multiplied by 4. So let me see what happens if I do the opposite stuff backwards. Okay, so I know I need to divide by 4. Again, I can't just divide by 4 like this because those parentheses are kind of locking those things together. So I'm going to divide this and this by 4. And when we do that, again, I'm happy to explain it. If you want to come see me before school or after school, I'm just trying to keep this video to 20 minutes. But if we do that, these 4's are going to kind of cancel out and just leave us with y plus 3. And then over here, I am going to show you why that is. Give me just a second. We're just going to go over time. But if you're watching this video, you're probably invested already. So before I continue, let me pause. What I'm doing here by canceling out these 4's is I'm combining several steps into one. So we were like this before, right? Well, kind of what I'm doing is I'm distributing and dividing at the same time. So let me go ahead and distribute these things here like we had before. Just ignore this stuff. So 4y plus 12. And then we still have this divided by 4 right here. But remember, that 4 is dividing both the 4y and the 12. So we could kind of rewrite that. Well, 4y divided by 4 is going to be 1y, or just y. And then 12 divided by 4 is going to be 3. Do you see how then when I cancel these 4's like this, it gives me the same answer? That wasn't very clear or elegant, but I want to show you with the other side of the equation. In theory, if my trick is going to work, negative 8 divided by 4 like that is going to be negative 2, and then we still have the x plus 4 right there. Okay, so again, if we come back over here, well, and that will even, let's simplify that one step further. We would Santa hat after that to give us negative 2x plus negative 8. Okay, well, what if I did the other direction? What if I distribute the negative 8 first? So negative 8 times x plus 4. And then we're still going to have the divided by 4. So let me start by distributing the negative 8. We'd have negative 8x plus negative 32 divided by 4. And then negative 8x divided by 4 is negative 2x. And negative 32 divided by 4 is negative 8. We still get the same answer. Okay, I know that was fast. Just come see me during bear time or before school or after school. I'm happy to talk you through it. But for now, I hope it's okay that I let's simplify what we just said. We divided both sides by 4, so that gave us y plus 3 equals negative 2x plus negative 8. And that took care of that step right there. And then we are going to subtract 3 from both sides. Line that up under that over there. And so our final answer is going to be y equals negative 2x plus negative 11. Or you could write minus 11, but either way you cut it, hey, looky there. Same answer, just different ways to do the same thing. And that's pretty neat. Alright, and then we've got some good level 4 stuff here. Don't forget, what most people don't do is to label. I don't know why I just highlighted that. What most people forget is to label the axes. I left these blanks here for a reason. I need to get you level 4 thinkers thinking in terms of graphs and being clear about your graphs, because wow, that is huge on the SAGE test every year. Anyway, sorry for going a little bit over the 20 minutes. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and I will see you on the next video, which is the last one before our test.